All right, welcome back. So I think we're ready to design now. We're just going to dive right into it. So the very first thing I want to show you is the toolbar. We have changed the name. We did document setup here. We went into page layout mode, and then we have a few choices up here. And you can see that this is just table of contents. If you were to write a book, it's word processing mode. You've got some options over here. Let me get this out of the way for generating images. So this Apple Creator Studio generates images, icons, backgrounds, and basically it uses AI. And later I'm going to show you how to actually use ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you how to generate some fabulous images. This is for tutorials coming up in the future, so I want you guys to pay attention to our website and announcements on my Facebook page and things like that, so I can announce those things to you that things are coming. Tables and graphs, yeah, not really. And then this one is very important. In here we have shapes, text. We have rounded corners, pretty cool. We can draw our own shapes and then, of course, browse the Content Hub. But I'm going to go ahead and throw in here a shape. My shape is a square because I want to cover this whole canvas. But what I want to do, and we already built our canvas at 7.25 by 5.25. So what I want to do is just go ahead and drag it up to the top corner. So this ruler indicates this point is at 0 on this particular ruler. This ruler is the x-axis. The x-axis is the top ruler. The y-axis is the side ruler. Now you'll see there is no side ruler. This is just something from Pages in the iOS version, the limited version, but that's okay. We can work around it. So what we're going to do is just click, drag that corner until it actually fits that canvas size. Now, one thing I want to emphasize, because I was professionally trained, is that you're going to head up to your format menu. Formatting this particular shape is what we're talking about because the shape is selected. If you select outside of the shape is not selected, and you'll see that format panel change. So we want that shape selected, and you can see style. I can change the fill of the shape from black to a color to a gradient, or I can do an image fill, which is awesome too. Later, I'm going to show you how to do a custom color, and we're going to do that. It's going to be so cool. We'll dive into that later. Text, formatting text, or arranging. I'm going to go ahead and leave my box as black right now because I think he might want to see a black version of his announcements. So I'm going to go to arrange. This is big, moving front to back, because we're going to be working in layers. Right now, I only have one layer, and we don't have to have layer menus. We don't have to have moving a layer up or moving a layer down in a panel. What we do is we select and we move objects. The next portion is the size and position, which is width and height. We know that we set that canvas up at 7.25 and 5.25. Now, my box is too big, and this is where I get pretty specific. I'm going to go ahead and put it at 7.25, and then I'm going to set the height at 5.25. Now that gives me exact dimensions for my canvas size, and you can see it kind of moved there, and I can set it back by dragging, and you can see the cross lines there that tell me that is the exact size. And on the X ruler, this dot right here in the upper left hand corner indicates that the box is sitting at 0 inches, and the y-axis is sitting at 0 inches. So we know there is no extraneous size that is going to be hanging out from the canvas. And this is very important if you're going to make more than one page. So make sure it fits. I'm going to change this back. Now, I'm still at 0 and 0. I'm not constraining proportions. I'm not rotating. I'm not flipping, but I'm going to show you how to lock that. If I lock that, that particular object cannot move, okay? So we're going to lock it because we're going to see what the positive effects of that are and maybe what a negative effect is. So we're just going to do that for now. So we've inserted from the shapes menu. We can do text. I'm going to go ahead and throw something in there. You can't see it because that text is black, and it came up automatically, the format menu under text, and it's telling me Helvetica is what we're using here. I'm going to go ahead and double click into that box, and it says type to enter text. Now I don't know if I want to do 2026. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and I'm going to go ahead and format. I have installed fonts on my iPad, which you can do for iPhone and iPad. So the iOS devices, there's an app that I use, and it's called iFont. And it was, I think, about, I want to say $10, something like that. And that particular app allows you to install fonts from DaFont, Google Fonts, iFont. There's all these different places that you can connect to. So that's something to kind of explore there in the App Store. So I've got impact. I've got 11 point. I'm going to go ahead and increase it. I did change it to white so we could see this. I'm just going to hold down. Okay, that's too slow. I'm going to go faster. Forget that. I'm going to go ahead and guesstimate. So we're at 39 point. That's little dots, basically, of how big that font is. So it's at 39. I'm going to go ahead and take it up to 75 and just guess, and then I'm going to hit enter, and you can see how big that is. So I've got this particular 2026 in the box, but you can see, and this is something that I just have a little bit of a quirk about, but this particular text is aligned left, and I don't like that. So I'm going to go text. I'm going to align it, not left, but centered in that box. And I'm going to take the bottom up on the text box just so I can see everything below it, but the text box is nice and compact, so it's not hanging out where other elements are going to get caught. If I click out and I click on, I can reselect it, and then I'm going to drag actually from the text, not from here. The best way to do it is from the text, and I'm going to show you why that happens with images and things like that. So just trust me on it. So I'm going to do 2026 for now. I can always change it. I'm going to go back to style, and I'm going to show you the opacity. Opacity is really cool. Now you're not going to see it right now. It's just going to change it to gray, and I always stick around this number like 25, 50, or 75. So I can remember exactly. I don't want to be like 42 and then have to remember and click on here to say 42 and change another element to the same 42. We just need to be easy on ourselves. All right, so locked, shape, text box, centered, opacity turned on. Let's go to the next, attach. So we can browse the Content Hub, generate images, or choose one of our own photos or videos as well. So we're going to choose photos. This is going to connect us automatically to our Photos app. I went ahead and organized ahead of time for Rowan's graduation. I made an album of just my favorite pictures of him. It is too many pictures to manage in the library, and I'm going to do a whole segment on the Photos app for iOS and also for the Mac computer, because people are just overwhelmed by the library. So I'm going to teach you that in the future. It's a lot of data management, what we're diving into this tutorial. Now, I love this picture of Rowan on the rock. I do love this one. I love the blurred background. I am leaning towards like a nice facial images, probably in black and white. If I want to convert these to black and white, I need to go back to the Photos app and actually convert them there. What I normally do will be duplicate the picture, because I'm a mom. I like to have multiple versions of the same image. I love to just edit and see what I can come up with. I've also done some correction, I think, on this image as well. You can see his face is a little bit red here, but duplicate your images, okay? So you can try to use different versions. I'm gonna go ahead and insert this one. I'm going to resize the image, and you can see when I resize the image, it's constraining proportions. We're going to go back to arrange. Constraining proportions is on. Why wasn't it on when we did the background? We're going to go unlock that background. We're going to take a look at that. Unlock the background. Constrain proportions is not on. Why would this constrain and this one not constrain? That's weird, right? Well, it's because we can resize in any direction on that particular shape. So we don't need to constrain proportions, but we definitely do on an image. If we unconstrain proportions, that's what happens. So no constraint on shapes, but definitely constraints on images. Now, I'm not too sure what's going on this edge, so I'm going to take a look real quick and zoom in. Oh, that looks a little strange. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom back down. I really want to try with this image, so I'm going to go ahead and place him in the corner, and I'm going to push him off the edge a little bit to get that out of there. Remember, I said that the images, the shapes, the text box, nothing should be hanging over the edge of the canvas. Nothing should be hanging out here in the gray area. And you can see I pulled that image off the canvas area. Well, I need to crop this out instead of hanging it over. So what I'm going to do is select the image, double click, and here comes up the auto crop, or I can zoom in, or I can crop in any direction. I can move the image in the crop. Okay. I'll hit check. I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to crop it. All right, good. I'm going to double click again, and I just want to take that crop just a tiny bit. You can see what my cursor is doing. It's snapping. It's actually jumping too much for me. So I'm going to zoom in and see if I can get that to actually not jump. It's still jumping. Okay, I'm going to take it, and then I'm going to move him over. If your software does not function, try to think around what it's doing, if that makes sense. Try to figure out a better way to do it in the software, because there is always a better way. I'm just going to say that. You just have to be smarter than the software, and you are. So we've got Rowan in here. I'm going to place him in the corner. And then I'm going to go to my image size, sizing and positioning up in the arrange menu from format. If this is closed, we're going to Format, to Arrange, and we're going to go ahead and check the size and the positioning. It looks like he is over the edge, so I need to bring him back to 0, set him there, and we'll check on the y-axis here in a little bit. But 3.25 and 4.49 is pretty big, but I'm going to go bigger. Oh, constrained proportions. What happened? Let's undo. I forgot to turn that back on. My bad, but making mistakes is better for you. So that's a cute design. Not happy with this. I'm going to go pull it over. I want this 26 over the top of his image, I think, because then this is going to be see-through, transparent, because the opacity was brought down. So I think his shirt's going to show through and some other things like that. So I'm going to just try that. So this text box is actually behind that photograph. And the text box is in front of the locked background. So what I'm going to do is take the text box and I'm going to move it to the front. When I move it to the front, you can kind of see the opacity right through that, right? You can see the image through the text box. And I'm going to go ahead and just place it there. And then what I'm thinking about doing is changing that opacity down again. And that's in the style menu. And if you don't remember, just click through them. You're good to go. You just, ease of use and direction, you just go ahead and you figure out the format menu and click around. You don't need to worry about not remembering anything. You just need to remember this particular format button. So opacity, 50%, I'm going to bring it down even further. And remember, I like to be exact, so I'm going to do 25%. I'm going to double click in here. I'm going to take out the 20, and I'm going to do 26 and see what that looks like. What do you think? I don't know. All right, I'm just going to place it there. I'm going to go back up and get another text box. And of course, it's black text. I'm going to go ahead and select that text. I'm thinking graduate. Select all. Helvetica. Let's try something scripty or fancy. Snell, I want something that's a little bit unique, but cursive script. Let's see here. I don't mean to take your time. Apple Chancery, that's pretty old school. Okay, I'm just gonna go with Jane Austen. I always default to that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to guesstimate again. I'll do another 75. That's big. And I'm gonna change the text color so I can see. I'm gonna do color and I'm gonna change to this red. My son really likes red, and we're going to do some envelope seals that are the same red. Now, I'm going to select out, and I'm going to select on, drag out to open the box up to see the whole lettering. And again, we're aligned left, back to text, to alignment, go center. And you can see with this particular script, this font, it sits down low, and you really have to be careful that your text box is not impeding or covering up your text. Really important. So click out, click on, and arrange your text box. Now I'm going to set this up. I'm not too sure. I'm just getting all my elements on the page here. But I'm going to set this up here for now, centered. I do probably have more information to add to this, which would be text box and things like that. But what I want to show you right now that I have all of the specific stuff in place, then I'm going to show you basically the next steps of how I'm going to duplicate this canvas, and I'm going to change the elements on it, basically making me another design so I can change colors and show my son, who is my client, the different options of color. And then, of course, he wanted maybe the mascot bird in there as well. So we're going to do that next. All right, hang tight.